Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We are back for another podcast. New state this time. We've done Florida. We've done Nashville. Now we are in Phoenix, not my hometown, but where I'm based.
Okay, two of those were cities and not states.
Okay.
Florida.
We've been in Florida. We've been in Tennessee, and we've been in Arizona. And now we're in Arizona.
There we go.
Okay. So we're here. Amy, welcome back. Welcome
Thank
to Arizona, Phoenix specifically.
Thank you. It's cold and rainy, which is very disappointing.
It's sad. It is sad. Yeah. We are excited to come to you today. We kind of hop on with no intent. I do have we did talk about one thing we wanted to cover today, but our goal is just we want to provide you guys with as much value as we can. We run an online fat loss coaching company. We've helped our clients lose over 3,000 pounds. It is not rare that we hear people say that it is the easiest system they've ever used. They've hopped from diet to diet. Amy was one of them.
I was.
Amy lost 70 pounds in a year with our program. And we just want to provide value. There's a lot of noise, a lot of jumble out there with the diet industry, the weight loss industry. And our goal is to cut through that and to give you guys good info. So welcome.
That's it. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
I think the only thing I would say is that after spending, a year in this program and losing 70 pounds of fat, I've been blessed to be able to now also coach people to lose fat and have that want a similar journey to mine. And so it's been 2 years of doing that, which has been awesome. And I think it's important to just know, like, I've maintained for 2 years now. Like, there's no other diet I ever was on that I maintained after,
Yeah.
So for me, it is a lifestyle change. And I think that's an important part of what we teach our clients is it's really about a lifestyle change. But it's a simple one and it's a healthy one. And it's one that's focused on fat loss. And so I just think our focus is just so unique and just dead on, honestly.
Yeah. I have never seen a program like ours. Never. I've seen programs that have pieces of ours.
Yep.
But when you put all the pieces together like we do, it's just how we're supposed to live. It's so simple. We like to overcomplicate it. We like to listen to the diet industry, weight loss industry. But when you put it together, it's just simple. It works.
Yep. It's simple. And then it requires some patience. And that's typically not what we want. We want to, reverse years of living unhealthy and making not great choices that get you into a state of unhealthy or unfit. But then you want it fixed in 90 days. And that's just ideally, that's not ideal.
Yeah. What's the rate we're looking for of weight loss?
I think like a half pound to 2 pounds a week is ideal because that's the most fat you can burn in a week. Like, just if you're just looking at biology and chemistry and how the body works, it's a half a pound to 2 pounds is the most fat you can burn. So if you're burning more than that, or if you're losing more than that, you're losing other things. And while you can lose water, that's not something you can really control. But if it's muscle you're getting into, then that's something you really want to be careful of. So it's a slow, like my whole year was, we averaged it out after, the year, and it was like 1.3 pounds a week for 52 weeks.
Yep.
So it was slow and steady, but it was a system that I could stay committed to.
Yeah, 100%. That's what matters the most. It's not about like who can lose the weight the fastest, even if you find a slow and steady pace, but it's something that you don't think you can do for the rest of your life.
Correct.
It's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah. So I would love to share. So we've done this a couple times, and you've gotten the chance to share your story of how you found me, how we worked together, how the program worked for you. I thought it'd be cool to share a little bit of my backstory.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like places in dark corners of the internet you can find it, but I really don't like sit down and talk about it online. I talk about it typically when people ask me like what I do. I'll elaborate on the story. But it's an incredible story. I mean, I'm just grateful to be where I am right now. Like, this is a dream come true. This is what I have worked very, very hard for. And I'm very grateful to be doing this full time, to be helping people, to have put something together with you that works really, really well. So can I just go?
Let's
share?
go. I want to hear.
If you have questions, please let me know. I mean, I've shared this many times with you. So I started this. I started an online business that wasn't this in 2017. I had graduated college in 2016 and I was an accountant.
Mhm.
And within the first month working in that office, I was like, I've made a terrible mistake. The office I was in didn't have windows. Our busy season was like 9 a.m. till past 9 p.m. most nights. And I just knew like I'm not cut out for this. And I had fell in love with weightlifting when I was like 13. I
Right.
had fell in love with nutrition, probably closer to like college age, but like that is just the passion within me. And for some reason, I just never pursued it in school. And so when I decided I didn't want to do that, I was like, okay, what is my next step? I'm not going to be an accountant for the rest of my life. The logical step for me, I didn't want to go work in a gym, like a box gym as an employee. I feel like the personal training industry can be a little sketchy and messed
Mhm.
up. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start a business. The business itself was different from fat loss. It was still in the personal development space, but I started this business. I was actually doing it with a friend from college at the time, and we go for it. And in my mind, I'm like, okay. I had a friend who he was a year below me. He was a junior in college, and he dropped out to start a business. And everyone was like, "You're crazy. That's never going to
Mhm.
work. Like, just do one more year." And he's like, "I don't want to be an engineer." And he went to build like a multi-million-dollar business. And so I see that and I'm like, oh, I could, he's not anything like crazy special. He's not
Yeah.
super smart. Like he just knows how to work, I guess. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm going to start this online business. I'm going to put it together and I'm going to make my millions and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
That was not the case. So 2017, early 2017, like pretty much January, I started this business. And from 2017 to 2023, early 2023, working with like nothing, like no success. Little bit, like maybe one client here or there. I made multiple courses. I have a book published out there. Like there's so many things that I tried to do to make this work. And it just did not feel like it was clicking. It just wasn't working. I was working part-time jobs, Vitamin Shop, Dick's Sporting Goods. I was
Mhm.
driving for Lyft. I was like working in the morning, driving for Lyft. This was after I left my accounting job.
Right.
So the story with that is I got called into the office and my manager was just like, "You seem like you don't want to be here."
I don't think you
And
ever told me that part of the story.
yeah,
Okay.
so I called me in and I in that moment I had a choice. I was like, I can either lie and just
Mhm.
keep trying to start this business on the side and keep hating my life with my job, or I can tell the truth. And I just in that moment I was just like, yeah, I really don't. I don't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. Especially when there were people in the office who like every single person who had been there longer except for one guy all said they didn't like what they did.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you've been here for 10 years and you still don't like it. There's no hope for me. I'm
Mhm.
not going to like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he made this deal with me where he was like, okay, if you don't want to be here, like just give me more, like work harder, be more present, like act like you want to be here, and then we can figure it out. And so I was like, okay. And then I think it was like a day later, he called me into the office again. And he was like, hey, I talked to the other manager, and like, if you don't want to be here, like we're not going to fire you, but we want to incentivize you to like go.
Wow.
So they gave me like a special deal where I could take vacation time and then they would pay me for that same vacation time. So it was basically like a month of pay after I left.
Okay.
And that was my moment of like, do I leap and do this or do I stay in comfort? Because a steady paycheck is a beautiful thing.
Right. So that month you took the time to figure it out.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I was taking a trip to Colorado to see my sister, and it was like perfect timing. I'd do a week in
Mm.
Colorado. I'd come home. I'd have 3 to 4 weeks getting paid, and I could get it going. I can get paid at
Yeah.
that time. And once again, not the case. So that's where for the next 5, 6 years was just like working at it. And I'm talking about like there's people being in the coaching space. I've been to a lot of events where I've seen people start and stop, start and
Yeah.
stop, start and stop, and never really see it through. But like for me, it was a pretty much everyday thing that I was working on this. I was creating content, I'm working on emails, I'm working on courses. Like it was a main focus of my life. And I want you guys to understand, like, if you've been working on your fitness, like think about how long.
Mhm.
How long have you been trying to lose weight? Like if it's been 5 years, you know the feeling. You know the feeling of you've been trying so hard and you cannot seem to make it work. And so that's what I felt at that time. And then basically in 2020, I was saved a little bit because I was working all these part-time jobs. I was digging myself deeper into debt, and I got offered a job at a company out here in Scottsdale, basically coaching people to help them start an online business,
Mhm.
which was perfect for me because then I could learn about it and I could get paid for it.
Were
So
you
I'm
did you apply for it, or like someone sought you
So
out, or?
yeah, my cousin had a position there, and she texted me, and she knew I was working on
Okay.
because we had both been doing some coaching stuff, and she was like, "Hey, my company's hiring, and I think you'd be the perfect
Okay.
fit for it.
Mhm.
You should go for an interview." And for those that know, Tony Robbins, Dean Graciosi, like these are the one of the biggest names in the coaching
Yeah.
industry, and they were the people, they own the company. So I was working for them, learning from them, getting to see them in their element. And so it was like, that was my first blessing from God. Because
Yeah.
it's like from 2016 or 2017 to 2020, I'm struggling, digging
Yep.
myself into debt. And then finally I get my head above water. Um, and then a week later after I started that job, COVID happened.
Okay.
And within, I think like 2 or 3 weeks, they let me go.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew this.
Yeah.
Okay. And my team was awesome. And my mentor, or one of my greatest mentors, his name's Arvin. He pulled me aside and he's like, "Look, we will get the company back up. And when it's back up, we want to bring you on. But you have two choices right now. Number one, you can just leave, collect unemployment. You'll be okay financially. Number two, we can take you on as a contractor. You're going to have a big pay cut, but you get to
Mhm.
still be surrounded by this and learn from this and be in this environment." And at that point, I was like, it's a no-brainer. Like, I want to learn. Like,
Yeah.
It's terrifying because it felt like the first time for 4 years or
Yeah.
3 years, I had my head above water.
Right.
But then I was like back out in the ocean.
Right.
But I was just like, am I going to remember in the future? Am I going to remember that I just played it safe, or am I going to remember that I went for it and I kept working for what I wanted?
Mhm.
And yeah, one of the greatest decisions, because I was brought back on. I think it was just like a couple weeks later.
Okay.
It wasn't even that big of a deal. But it just like kind of gave me more confidence of, okay, I'm really committed to this. Like,
Yeah.
I am going to see this through. And then October 2022, they cleared out our entire coaching staff. So I got let go. And once again, back to just like still not figuring things out. I had a couple more clients at this point, but nothing, like I wasn't profitable. I was still going deeper and deeper each month. And then there was March 2023, one of the best months ever. This was 5 months after I had gotten let go, and I am like right at my breaking point. I'm like, I cannot go into any more debt. I like this is it. I got to figure it out, or I'm going back to get a job. And that was like the worst case scenario to me, of going back to accounting, because I just
Yeah.
like, when I left, I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to a buddy who had a successful fitness coaching company, still does, Jeff Davis, dear friend. And he basically pulled me aside and he's like, "Hey, I have something that like really changed things for me this past week." And so we went on a hike, and he was like, I know it sounds crazy, but I've been going through these struggles, and I just started praying.
Mhm.
I went to church, and the pastor was like, "When you're struggling with things, it's typically God trying to bring you closer to him."
Mm.
And I started praying, and within the week, things like clicked.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, like,
You're
we'll
like
see.
you're like, "I'll give it a try."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had, I grew up Christian, and I had my own like issues with it growing up, but I'm at this point now where I'm ready to try anything.
Yeah.
And so I read my Bible that Sunday. I went to church. I started praying, and I had someone from high school reach out and out of nowhere say like, "Hey, I want to work with you. Like, I'm looking to lose weight." And so I'm like, this is the answer.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
it. Right.
Good stuff.
And so he signs up, and this was like way barely any money, but it was like hope for me.
Right. And
You
how
know,
many
like-
clients do you have at this? So now you're officially in the fat loss space.
Yes.
Okay.
Fat loss space. That was probably 2019 that I transitioned into
Okay.
fat loss space, maybe 2018. And I probably only had like 4 clients,
Mhm.
maybe.
Mhm.
One long-term one who's still a client, he's just incredible. But like short-term
Yeah.
clients. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I have 3, 4, like I'm okay, but I'm not profitable.
Right.
But that was like hope. It was like, I just started praying, and now I have this client.
Yeah.
And then I'm driving to church that Sunday, and he calls me, and he's just like, "Hey man, I can't afford this. Like, I can't do this. Just refund me my money." And I pull into church, and I just like, my heart sinks. I'm like, I thought this was it. Like,
Yeah.
I thought this was the answer. And it's like, I had this hope, and then it was pulled away from
Yeah.
me.
Tough.
And I'm sitting in the church parking lot and I'm literally thinking to myself, like, this is dumb. I'm going to pull out. I'm going to go home. Like, this isn't the answer. And then I just had like this hit, this download, definitely God speaking to me. And it's just like, this is not supposed to be a transactional relationship. You're not supposed to pray to me for money. Like, you don't pray to me and you get money. That's not how it works.
Yes.
Like, your intent of praying to me shouldn't be to get money. It should be to pray to me.
Right.
And to connect with me.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, in that moment, I just decided, all right, I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to give it up. I have no idea what's going to happen. I went into church, kept praying, kept reading my Bible. And then that week is when my dear friend Amir Odom shouted me out on Instagram, and you followed me.
Yep.
I had probably 2 people sign up from Amir. I had a woman reach out who said that she had been following me for 3 years and she wanted to finally work with me. She was finally ready, or maybe 2 years. And her husband signed up, Elisa Craig.
Yeah.
And then you signed up.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the craziest part about all of this, which I love, is when you came to that call, you were like, I'm a hopeless case. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. You were convincing me. I was like, I don't know if I can help this woman.
Yeah.
And I took a walk after that call, and I remember exactly where I was on the path behind my apartment. And I was just praying, like, God, let me help this woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me, like, this is hope. Because with you signing up at that point, I was basically profitable. And if it didn't work within month 1, you were gone.
Yeah.
And that's like back to square one for me. And the rest is history. I mean, you were brainwashed by God
Yes.
now, honestly,
Yes.
instead of me,
Yes.
and just executed, down 70 pounds, started referring an insane amount of people from your hometown, people that you knew, like, transformed the business. And it was literally within like 3 months where things were completely different. And I couldn't have scripted it. I couldn't have put it together. Like, it was just perfection, how it all came together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing story.
Yeah. And so now we're at the point where we've helped hundreds of people.
Yeah.
They've seen amazing success. You are crushing it. You went viral on Instagram. You have an incredible following.
I do.
Making a massive difference, even just through your content. And it's just like, I look back at that, and we're not a Christian company per se. Like, in our course specifically, we don't, quote scripture, or we don't have anything like that. We bring up God on our group calls and things like that. But like, even though it's just, this foundation is from God, and I couldn't have scripted it. I couldn't have done it on my own, because I tried for 5 years and I couldn't do it.
Right.
So yeah, it's just like it's an absolute blessing that you came in and just like completely transformed things, and that we have teamed up, and now we're just making a difference together.
Yeah. It is amazing. And it's like, it was my surrendering my fat loss to God that, led me to you in the program. And, that was it. I was always praying for, specifics, instead of just letting him take the lead. And I think that's really what it was. And I think one of the coolest parts of our story is we didn't know that about each other. Like, it was a few months in one of our coaching calls when I was like, when I knew this was going to work for me. Like, I was down probably, 20 pounds or so, but I also knew it was a lifestyle. Like, I knew I wasn't struggling to lose the weight. It was like, I loved it. I loved the everything about the program, what we did, how we were eating, the weightlifting. Like, didn't probably know it at the time, but becoming a different person. But that's when I realized, like, this is God, because I'm feeling like this is effortless and this is more natural. And so when I shared with you, like, I want you to know, like, I prayed about this for years to figure out how to just stop getting fatter and start. I mean, it's just what it is. I was just living that life of just making excuses and eating and, bearing emotions and all that stuff. But by surrendering to God, he led me to you. And then when I told you that story, and then you told me that you went out, after we got off our first call, and you went out and you were like, please let me help this lady. It's like, that's when we knew. I felt like that's when we knew this was a God thing, that we both had an experience like that. I prayed for help. You prayed to help me. There's no other way to explain it than God put us together.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm like at that point a guy with 3,000 followers on Instagram.
Hmm.
Like, who am I? And you found my profile and
Right.
it like
Like,
stood out to you.
yeah. And I had never heard of online coaching. I didn't know it was a thing. And I was, I'm an ultra kind of like by the book kind of gal. Like I don't usually venture out, like it wasn't like curiosity to me. It was just like in a moment of desperation, I sent the DM, and I think it was just, it just, to me, it doesn't make any sense other than it was God.
Yeah, 100%. And that moment solidified my faith because I was just like
Mm.
I was rocky. I grew up. I wasn't sure what I believed. Like I was at this point, but like it became so clear to me, and even it felt like a test. Like after, because the next few months when I was consistent with praying and going to church, not with the intention to make money, but just like
Yeah.
to connect to God, things with the business did well.
Yeah.
And then maybe for a couple weeks I fell off and I just like didn't prioritize it, didn't read my Bible before bed, and things would start to go down.
Yeah.
And then I'd like hop back on and then it start to go up.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so clear to me that when I surrender to God, when I pray and I work towards something, if it's in his plan, like it magically comes together.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point is like our will is what gets in our way
Mhm.
when we're trying to make things happen instead of, I mean, if you're a believer, your path is already designed for you. And so you get in your own way instead of just trusting that the path is there and, paying attention. It's a lot of listening. It's a lot of like being still and, thinking about like, what is he trying to tell me? Why are these things happening to me? Why can't I figure this out? Like if you can sit still for a little while. But it requires like a conscious effort to be in a relationship with God.
For sure. For sure. Just like any relationship, it
Yep.
takes work. Yeah, that's amazing. And then since you joined, like the program has evolved and the people we help, like it's just become a very different thing than it was at the beginning, but like way better. Like in terms of the content in the course, in terms of our group calls, how we help our clients, even like the structure of the workouts has shifted a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's gotten better.
Yeah.
Like it's just improved because it's so cool. And I hope you guys understand this. Like I can speak as an expert of someone who's fell in love with this and studied this and used a lot of the principles in my life, has used all the principles in my life. But until you see someone who's really used it to see the results that you may want, like our clients come in and it's like, oh, that's cool. Like you're an expert. You've
Yeah.
done, this stuff. You live this.
Right.
But have you lost 30 pounds?
Right.
Have you lost 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 70, 80 pounds? And so having you now has been even just like an extra bonus for our clients because they have
Yeah.
our expertise, but they have your experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's another thing that just makes our program unique. And I do think that our partnership is just I just don't think it's out there. I don't think most clients that join a fat loss program, stick around and then, help other people in a way that like, I just am so committed to the program. And I think you've always respected that about me is that I have a passion and a love for the program because it changed my life. You know, of course, with your leadership and your guidance and coaching, that's what I needed. And I needed the accountability for sure. But the program, like I still live it to this day. And I will forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Why? Why do you think?
Because for me, it is just aligning with God. And that's, maybe ultimately that was his goal was like, hey, you're not losing this weight and you're gaining this weight and you're getting unhealthy because you're not doing what I intended you to do. And I do believe that our bodies are still very ancestral. Like we are designed from God and there was not just food everywhere. Like we've just overconsumed for so long out of societal pressures or, greedy food companies wanting to make hyper palatable foods. Like it's designed to get us our attention, but ultimately that's taking you away from God, being obsessed with food.
Yeah.
And I think just, fasting and then eating whole foods and the foods, mostly, I mean, I'm not perfect. Of course, I eat some packaged food every now and then, but for the most part, I try to really eat, things that God wanted you to eat.
Yep.
And you feel better. Your body works better. Everything works metabolically and even the hormones and everything. So it's like, of course, this is the way you're supposed to do it. So when I relate it back to that, I don't miss anything from Fat Amy days.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, and I'm definitely gonna make some content around this, and this might be the content. I was speaking to someone on my trip to Africa, and she's more of a macro focused
Okay.
person, like weighing your food and looking at calories and carbs and all that, and plugging it in. And we were talking, and me speaking about the ingredients like really got her interested because a lot
Yeah.
of people don't really like it. It doesn't make sense to them.
Right.
And then I think it was like talking about the wheat that really changed things for her, of
Mm.
understanding the difference of whole wheat flour and enriched wheat flour and why that's such a difference.
Yeah.
Um, and then she has a faith as well. She's a Christian, and I was just like, sucralose, like aspartame, acesulfame potassium, 0 calories. Cool, you can log them, but they're not of God.
Right.
They're of man.
Yeah.
Like man has made these. And so, yeah, could you argue, okay, they don't spike your blood sugar, or maybe they do, or they don't? Or you look at, okay, do they hurt your gut health or do they not hurt your gut health? Or like, are there negative things or positive things? But it's like, regardless, it's not. It's of man.
Right.
It's not of God.
Right.
So I think for believers specifically, that's a really good state of mind to look at things through.
Yeah.
Because we've normalized it.
Yes.
It's so normal that, okay, you assume if something's in the grocery store, it can't be that bad for you.
Right.
Like maybe it's not healthy, but it's not like poison.
Right.
Because it's in a grocery store. They're
Right.
selling it.
Exactly.
It'd be illegal if it was poison, right?
Right.
But it is. And so to look at it from that frame of, is this of man or is this of God? Is this man-made in a way that is meant to hook our taste buds, meant to hook us into eating more? Or is this something that we've been eating for thousands of years? And even if you're not a believer and you're still watching this, which I commend you, like you still believe thousands of years ago these things didn't exist. Hundreds of years ago these things didn't exist.
Yeah.
So how would that change how it's impacting our body? Like if our body's not used to consuming these things and it's pretty much brand new in the big picture,
Yeah.
it's going to make an impact. It's going to jack things up.
Yeah. And we hear it from our clients all the time now about, the ingredient thing was one of the key pieces I was missing when I joined the program. Like, I believed all the packaged health, heart healthy, fat free, sugar free. Like that's what I thought I was doing well by myself by being hyper vigilant in the store of like, oh, this is low calorie or it's, gluten free or whatever the big claims are on the front of the package. So then you're convinced you're eating healthy, and but then you're not. I mean, you're not, because the hidden ingredients in it, or the ingredients they don't tell you about, just to make it more shelf friendly and therefore more profitable, is just so damaging to your body, because God never intended you to have those things. And so your body is not made to process those things. So then you end up storing, what your body can't use, you're going to end up storing. So it makes a big difference. But our clients are very keen to tell us that it doesn't take long of 2-3 weeks that they switch to more of a whole foods diet. And then they decide to indulge in something maybe they've eaten before, or, party or whatever. And it's just, it makes an impact on them. They don't feel well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, or it just doesn't taste good anymore.
That's true.
Which is crazy. Like 3 weeks is not a lot of time.
It's not.
But then if you have that and your body rejects it, that's a pretty good sign that it's not good for you.
Yeah. Or if you can start really tasting the chemicals in it, as opposed to before you were just kind of eating it. But if you can really change, that's another thing about our program that's so cool, is that you can truly change so much and become more of a whole healthy person and reverse things. And I started with you when I was 51. And, I definitely thought I was a lost cause, but I didn't have any idea I'd be able to reverse the things I did as far as my health went.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has been amazing. And then to still feel like 54 and still feel great and still looking for challenges. Like, I'm just so excited about life now, because I just don't know. I spent so many years not pushing myself on the physical side of things, or the athletic side of things, or just the physical side of things. I was very limited as far as like what my mind would tell me I was capable of doing. And now I just feel like, what else can I do? And kind of what else did I miss out on? And let me go, if it's of interest in me, I at least have the confidence to go try it now.
Yeah. That's a big difference. What do you think woke that up for you? Like, was it just the results, or was it something else?
No, I think it was It was the results for sure, because I didn't know, I really didn't get into this to build muscle and to be fit and athletic. Like I didn't know that was a thing. Like I didn't know if in the 50s I could become an athlete. But you and I were on a walk once, the first time I met you in April of, I think it was 23. We were, I was doing a retreat with you and we were walking and you just said, you're like, you're an athlete, right? And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? I really did like stop and kind of question you. I'm like, what do you mean? And you're like, you're an athlete. And I just, it never dawned on me in my 50s, I could become an athlete. And so I think that really inspired me to think of myself differently. That's when I think I really, like, I had been executing, losing the weight, and really just living the authentic life that I wanted to live. But that was a moment where I really saw myself differently and I loved it. I loved being, and I think that's why I also began to believe that this was who I was supposed to be. Cause I have had that feeling like there's no reason I couldn't have been an athlete as a kid. That wasn't the path I took, or that wasn't the path my parents took me down, or, so I kind of feel like I missed out. And cause I truly feel my most authentic self now of my entire life. I'm not playing any roles. I'm just being who I am. And it's awesome. And because you pointed that out to me, being an athlete is part of that. And so I want to keep challenging myself. This was the biggest challenge of my life. And I don't mean to ever disrespect like my family. Like I have a beautiful family, husband, family, kids. It was just me. This is all just for me. And this was the biggest difference I could have made in my life for me personally.
Yeah. While you were speaking, it kind of just came to me like we are focused on fat loss, how it's supposed to be. And we're also helping people turn into who they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's going to be a fat to fit Amy. Not
Correct.
Everyone's going to be hitting 10 chin-ups. Not everyone's going to be doing 1,000 burpees in 3 hours and all these amazing, amazing challenges you've done.
Mm-hmm.
But getting healthier, being
Yeah.
a better mother, being a better
Yeah.
father, being a better brother, sister, son, daughter.
Yeah.
Like just taking care of yourself and prioritizing you can help you show up so much more powerfully. And it can even like shift your path that you're on.
Yes.
It doesn't even have to relate to fitness. Like,
Yeah.
we've had clients where it's just like they get fit and now they have so many more realizations about themselves.
Yes.
And now they can live a completely different life.
100%.
It's freeing. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself.
It totally is. And it doesn't have to be in the fitness space. It can be, it's more about the authenticity. It's more about being the person you were designed to be. And that's not always going to be an athlete. But that's what I've taken to. But I think you're right. But I still think you can lose the fat and get healthy.
Yeah.
And then with that, and going down this program and this journey, there's so much more that comes with it as far as like building confidence and believing in yourself. And a lot of, I can't really speak for men, but for women, a lot of women go through life pretending to be confident or knowing they're not confident. I mean, low self-esteem is a big thing for women because there's such a comparison out there to be like someone else or to weigh a certain this or weigh a certain that. And so I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm confident in a very positive way.
Yep. And that comes, truly what I believe is that comes from you telling yourself you're going to do something and actually going out and doing it.
100%.
Following through with your word. Like, because we are conditioned as a society to just say things we don't mean or to set commitments and then not follow through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you had a friend who said they were going to do something and they repeatedly failed to follow through, you would have zero trust for that person.
Right.
You wouldn't even tolerate that person in most cases. You'd be like, I don't want this person in my life.
Right.
And so you wonder why you do that to yourself and then you're speaking so poorly to yourself or you have all this self-hatred or negativity. It's like you haven't earned respect with yourself.
Right.
What do you think separates the clients? Let's talk clients and let's also talk just people who try to lose weight but fail. Like the people who like they say they want it and maybe they execute for a little bit, but there's a disconnect there of what they're doing and the results they get and what they actually want.
Mm. That's a big question to ponder because I also, I just want to remind people I spent 15 years putting on weight. 15 years putting on weight. trying to diet, not really being successful, maybe losing 10, 20 pounds here and there, but always putting it back on, to the point every time you put it back on, you put on a little bit more. So I think as far as this program goes and what it did for me, though, is I really had to break down. I had to break down, like, personally. And I really had to stop pretending like I wanted to be someone else and then just giving it a half effort, or trying to find a quick fix. That's a big problem, is like trying to find that quick fix of like, well, I want to do the 60-day plan and lose the 20 or 25 pounds that they're promising you. And you can do it, but you can't keep it off because they don't ever tell you that you have to keep going. I totally don't think I'm on the question that you asked me.
Doing great.
But I think for me, I don't think you have to be in the desperate spot that I was. I just think you have to be hyper focused on what do you really want, and you have to want it for you. You can't want it for anybody else.
Yeah.
I used to think that, like, I was like, I'm sure my husband would like someone that's not fat, like I would think that, and I would try to do, I wanted him to be proud of me. And I'm not saying that he wasn't. The problem with husbands is they're typically they're smart enough to be like, oh, you look beautiful no matter what. And I'm like, did you look at me? Did you even look at me? But husbands are pretty smart that way. But I feel like that wasn't the right thought to have. I couldn't say I want to be attractive for my husband. I can't say I don't want my kids to have the fat mom. I mean, those are things that I thought for sure, but those couldn't be the motivation for me to get the ultimate success. It had to be because I couldn't do it anymore. And that's the thing, is you have to break down everyone else's expectations. Like, you have to, we especially women have a need to fill everyone's expectations and not their own. But I think you lose yourself too, and you don't even know what your expectations are of yourself, and it came down to a single thing for me. And I was thinking about this last night after our group call, was like that whole thing about just hating pictures of myself. That was the only reason I couldn't take it anymore. I was so sick of seeing a picture or hiding in the back of a picture or not being in the picture. As you know, there's very few fatting me pictures. It's like the same ones on repeat because I quit taking pictures. And that was my single motivation, and that just led to an entirely different life 3 years later.
Yeah.
Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It is. And what I love about that is like the ownership of that's the reason. Because I mean, I've spoken to people where they're like, I want to look better. And then there's like an asterisk of like, oh, but I know that's so superficial.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, if you want to look better and that's what's going to drive you to make a change, use that.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I mean, superficial depending how you define it, but it's not a bad thing to want to look good and to want to feel good about how you look.
Exactly.
And then the byproduct is you're going to feel amazing.
And it changes your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to show up better in other areas. You're going to have more energy. Your digestion's going to be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to ditch this should of what you think, like, I should lose weight because of this.
Yes.
I should want to lose weight because XYZ.
Right. So I think, getting back to your question, I think a lot of people want to lose weight because they think that is if they're overweight, that's what people expect of them. Like, if you're overweight, I should lose weight. And like you said, it can't be a should.
Yep.
You have to want it. If you love the food more than you dislike your picture or the way you feel in your clothes, it's not going to work. There has to be a shift there. And that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of the mindset work to work through that.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Oh,
it's so worth it.
Worth it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing better than feeling good about yourself. It's just coming from someone that didn't feel good about herself for years. And I talked to too many women to know, I know exactly where they're at. I know it's just, we pretend we feel good. And I think it's pretty bold to come out and say that, to say, because I have lots of memories and friends and family and lots of history, right? Where I don't want to say I was pretending to be happy, but when I turn it into myself, we pretend a lot. We pretend that everything's great. And as long as everyone else is happy, we're happy. And that's just being out of touch with who you are.
Yeah. I've gone as far to say that's being inauthentic.
Yeah.
Like that, because that doesn't feel good to be inauthentic, but most of us are.
Yes.
It's so much easier to just put on a mask and to pretend like things are okay.
Mhm.
But like the well-trained eye can see it. Like we can see when you're posing in a picture and you're turning a certain
Yeah.
way, or we can see when you're double checking pictures because you don't like how you look, or we can see you like fixing clothes. Like it's to the person who's paying attention, we can tell. And so rather than numb it and pretend like everything's okay, I'm just a fan of like opening the wound and
Yeah.
feeling it
Yeah.
so that it's painful enough for you to make a change.
Yeah. And that was a hard part. Like, again, I resisted the feeling part of it for a while when I was working with you one-on-one, but that is ultimately what had to happen. You had to make me cry a few times.
Yes, I did. And then you just started crying on
And then
your
I
own.
just cry all the
And
time
yeah,
now. I
it's
can make
great.
myself cry. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this whole journey has just been an absolute blessing. And it makes me wonder, like we've done so much, and I'm in a very, and I know you feel the same, but I'm in a very different position than I thought it'd be 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so like, what do the next 5 years look like?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we have like partnered or, do this together and built a lot together. It's interesting because I was just thinking about this. Like, I know that wasn't your vision when you started. Like, you never imagined having one of your clients just stick around and, a 54-year-old lady that you're talking to on a daily basis about business. But I didn't even have, and so that's a vision that if, for us to continue to be successful, that's like an adjustment to your vision. And then I never dreamed I was Fat Amy 3 years ago. How am I now coaching hundreds of women on losing fat? Like that was
very, very well, by the way.
Thank you.
Crush. If you have Coach Amy as a coach and you have the blessing of being able to talk to her, you're going to get coached well.
It's my great, but again, it's like going back to this is what I was intended to do. This is who I was supposed to be because I know I'm helping these women. The messages I get from these women and the reviews and the things like that. I mean, there's nothing that's ever fulfilled me personally like that. But my point was like 3 years ago as Fat Amy, I would never have guessed I even would look like this, right? The work in the gym, just the consistent showing up. Like I didn't know it could turn into a career for me. And so I don't even have a vision of, I didn't have a vision of this. So it's like, we're having to like adjust, like, we're having to come together and maybe come up with our own vision of something. But yeah, it's just, that's why that makes it even more of a God story, I think, just because it's so unlikely.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Cause I know you kind of shared that a little bit last night and I was thinking more about it. And like, it's God's plan, it's not mine.
Yeah.
I could say what I want and I'm going to have a specific outcome that I have in mind and I'm going to work towards it. But at the end of the day, it's not my decision because anything could happen.
Yep.
And if I try to do things my own way, it's probably not going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's true. I mean, the more we can surrender and just listen and like be still with it and let him kind of, because he'll talk to you. Like if you're really paying attention, he will speak right to you and give you a clear thought and direction of where to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I am excited for what's next. We are going to wrap this up in a second. Do you have anything you want to add? Anything to share? I know that's a wide open question.
That is pretty wide. No, I just think that it was great hearing your story. I mean, I heard a few new nuggets in there, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good story for us to review with each other and to share because I think it's special.
For sure.
And I think it's why it's lasted as long as it has.
For sure.
And I think it's why it's nothing nobody would have ever predicted this.
No.
So
Never.
That's why to me, I give it I think I give it a lot of, staying power because I'm like, this is not your everyday partnership or team.
Yeah.
But it works. It works.
It does.
And it works from your expertise. I think the the part of me being coached by you for a year, but now coaching for a couple of years, like it just it works in such a great tandem way for us to be able to coach our clients, you know.
Agreed. Well, I'm excited for what's next. We appreciate you so much for being here and watching. If
Yeah,
you
thank you.
are not a client of ours and you are interested, you're committed to your result, and you're curious how we can help you get there, check down below this video. There's going to be a link there to book a call with one of us. We just appreciate you so much for being here. And our goal, like through this all, is we want you healthy, we want you fit, we want you happy, and we can help. But we need you to be committed to the outcome. So
Yeah, and I like to say your future self is counting on you. That's my new thing. You like it?
fire.
I like it.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.